What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.
It's Not Your Fault is a podcast for parents, caregivers, and young people navigating the world and its challenges. Here's your host, Brandon Jones.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Jones, and in today's episode, we're talking about 4 ways to cope with change for adolescents. Now, as we get closer to the end of this year and we move into the new year, many people are making resolutions. Many people are thinking about the things they want to change, the things that they want to leave behind in 2024, the things that they want to advance in, how they want to grow, what they want to shed, all the thoughts that come up. People are making vision boards, doing goal plans, setting systems, joining clubs to work out and do yoga and stretch and all these good things. So it's a moment and opportunity for us to pause. It's a moment of opportunity for us to be grateful for the things we have and to plan for the things that we don't. And I want to talk a little bit about coping with change and how that looks for adolescents and some tips for parents, caregivers, and youth workers, people who work with young people, to assist those adolescents in our life to move forward with the things that they have going on. So to start us off, adolescence is a time of change and growth. Whether it's starting high school, navigating friendships, or even facing family transitions, while change can be exciting, it is also normal to feel overwhelmed. Learning how to cope with change is an essential skill that helps you grow and helps the young people in your life grow, and it helps you to grow stronger and more resilient. There are many things that young people deal with that bring adversity to their life, bring struggle, bring frustration, but being able to adjust to change, I think, is one of the big resiliency factors that we can have. And it is a skill. It's something that you have to work on. It's something that you have to continue to learn and to process through. I don't believe that it's something that you're born with. I think some people have natural skills to deal with things, but for the most part, you have to be pretty intentional about focusing on how you manage the change in your life, how you address it, and how you deal with it. We all go through change. Literally, in leadership development, there's a whole section and whole area focused on change management. Culture changes, habits change, people change, language changes, taste buds change, focuses, values, all these things, morals even can change. It's important for us to make sure that as change is happening around us, we adjust with it. And that's a very challenging task for a young person who may have only been in the world for 14, 15, 16 years, but they do have the level of independence and expectation to take care of themselves the way they do. So as the adults in the room, the adults in their lives, we have to make sure that we're supporting them to the best of their ability. So today I wanted to share 4 ways. Usually I share 6 to 7 things. I thought, let's make it a little bit more simple this time around. Let's make it a little bit more digestible, so people can attempt to implement these things into their resolutions if you're planning them. And if you're not officially doing resolutions, but you are looking to make those changes in your life, I hope that this is one of those opportunities for you to move forward. So the first thing to cope with, or the first way, is to acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledge your feelings. Change can stir up a mix of emotions: anxiety, sadness, excitement, even anger. So instead of ignoring those feelings, instead of suppressing those feelings, one thing that I think we can definitely do is pause and reflect on those feelings. Why do I feel the way that I feel? What is this about? How do we reflect on those feelings? How do we process those thoughts? You can do something that is called the silent prayer, where you sit in silence and just kind of think through things. That can be kind of challenging for people, especially when you have a lot of different things that run through your mind, or there's other distractions in the space that you're in. So another method to utilize is journaling. And you can do the old school journaling, as I call it, where you take pen to paper and you write things down in a notebook or a personalized journal, whatever you have. Or you can do new school journaling where you're typing it out. You may have a Word document. You may have a notes app that you use where you're taking down information and you're journaling there. Another newer method, and this is one that I recommend to a lot of people that I do one-to-ones with, is doing voice memo journaling, where you hit the record button on whatever voice app you have on your phone. Sometimes people have fancy ones, sometimes people have whatever their phone came with. Hit record and just talk through how you're feeling, what's going on. Sometimes you may have prompts and questions, sometimes you may not. And you're just talking through over and over and over again what's happening. And once you kind of run out of things to say, that kind of ends the journal entry. And believe it or not, people, every time I introduce that to people, they're like, you know what? I don't want to share my feelings. I'm talking to myself. That's strange. That's weird. I don't want to do those types of things. But you'll be surprised. Some people, they'll go on for 8 to 10 minutes just talking, just letting it all out and just letting those thoughts roll. And it helps you just get it out of your head, get it out of your heart, get it out of your body, and just put it out there into the universe. And that can be a helpful thing. So always acknowledge your feelings. Don't suppress them. Don't try to ignore them. Pay attention to how you feel, because that is a telltale sign of what you're dealing with and what's going on. The next thing, number 2, focus on what you can control. And I laugh at this one because we're good at focusing on everything that we can't control, because the desire to do something different in those spaces is there. The call to action for other people to respond to those differences is there. But let's be honest, in this world where we don't have control over everything, sometimes all we can do is focus on what we can. So change often makes us feel powerless. There are always aspects that you can control, however. Set small goals. One person I used to listen to a podcast, and this individual is a personal development podcast, and he used to talk about making daily goals, and these very just small wins that you can get on a day to day. And I always thought that was an interesting concept, and I would agree that setting those small goals is important. And what it ultimately helps you do is helps you to maintain a level of organization, and it helps you to maintain a level of a routine. And when you can organize things, set systems and routines in your life, it makes the process a lot easier. You're not guessing, you're not, being spontaneous and just responding to random things. You're actually implementing things in a pattern that helps your life get better. And with adolescents, I think this is a great opportunity for them, because a lot of their life is scripted already, right? So school has a certain pattern to it. Hopefully, home life does. If they play any sports or any clubs, they meet on a particular day, they do a particular thing. Like, there's a lot of scripting already, and I think that you can just add on that with the things that you feel like you can't control, to add the scripting there as well. Focus on your response to change as well. How do you act and how do you think about the matters at hand and the things that happen? Engage in activities that make you feel confident, like hobbies, sports, and creative outlets, is another way of focusing on what you can control and not losing yourself as an individual. So it's important for young people to just focus on what they can control. And sometimes you have to point that out to young people, because sometimes they can't see what they can't control. Sometimes a lot of young people feel powerless because their parents have made a lot of their decisions, or their decisions are made based on just how their life is structured. But giving them just a little bit of locus control can help. Number 3, stay connected to supportive people. The supportive people in our life make a difference. We're human. Being connected to individuals is extremely important. So building those strong relationships helps us to feel less alone, and it can help us during these moments of change or these moments of opportunity where we need to connect with other people. Talk to your friends, talk to adults that you trust, talk to people online. Yeah, I'm going to say it. A lot of adults won't say it. But online is a great resource to connect to people that you may never connect with or may never thought of connecting with, that can give you some good perspective. It's okay to reach out to those people. There are dangers in that, of course, but I would not shy away from the opportunity to connect with someone who has a like experience or perspective that may be helpful for you, that you may not meet in person. In this new world, we have to lean into the technology as much as we are afraid to, as much as adults are afraid to admit it. It is a part of our life, and it is a part of something that you all do and you all should do in order to better yourselves. But make sure that you're building those trusting relationships and people are being authentic with you when you do so. Number 4, practice what we call sustainable wellness, or proactive self-care is another way of thinking about it. So when you're overwhelmed and you feel like self-care can help you recharge or stay balanced, I encourage you to implement those practices, whatever those things are for you. The only kind of requirement I put on this one is make sure they're constructive things. If you're doing things that cause you any social problems, any spiritual problems, any relationship problems, any financial problems, or any health problems, you might not want to do those types of things. So find time to take the best care of yourself. Get that 8 to 10 hours of sleep. That is what's recommended for adolescents. I know most adolescents are probably getting like 5 hours of sleep. Try to get that 8 to 10 when you can. It does good for your whole body, not just for your physical feelings, because you're groggy and tired, but your whole body benefits when you're able to put it down and have some rest. Move your body. It's another piece of this as well. As much as this is a mental health podcast, we can't ignore the physical health elements to things. You got to get that body moving. 30 minutes of movement a day, intentional movement, not just walking around in the school building or walking around the park. That's helpful though. Don't just be stagnant. But physical activity is good. Whether you're lifting weights, you might be doing HIIT exercises. You might be jogging. You might be doing more power walking. Getting that 30 minutes a day is good. Moving that body is good. It helps that blood flow. Helps your nervous system stay regulated. And it's simple things that you can do, but it just takes the dedication of 30 minutes. And it doesn't have to be a solid 30-minute stretch. It may be 15 here, 15 there, 10, 10, and 10, or something of that nature. So, if you need to break it up, feel free. Unplug is another one of being proactively engaged in your self-care and using what we call sustainable wellness. It's okay to take a break from social media. Don't have FOMO, or the fear of missing out. Things are going to happen while you're not online, and it's okay. You'll get wind of them. You'll catch up later. You don't have to feel like you need every single thing at the very moment that it comes out. And you don't need to be connected all the time to people. It's okay to take those breaks. I encourage breaks every few days, honestly. If you can take, even if it's for 2 hours, if you can just focus on not being on social media, for 2 hours, that's helpful. Even the internet, I think that taking a break from the internet is good, not just when you're asleep, but when you're awake as well. Taking a break from the internet is good. And then practice relaxing. Make sure you have what we call well-being habits, and you're practicing relaxing. Can't get it out. We're utilizing things like deep breathing exercises, meditation, and my favorite way to relax is listening to music, whatever type of music that is. If it's calming to you, feel free to grab your favorite pair of headphones and just rock out to whatever you need to. Music is attached to the soul, and harmony is attached to the body. You should definitely utilize those things to feel better. So, with some final thoughts as we close out this podcast, again, there's 4 things that I encourage you to do to manage and cope the change that takes place in your life. The first one is acknowledging your feelings. The second is focusing on what you can control. The third is staying connected to people that are supportive. And the fourth is practicing sustainable wellness or proactive self-care to make sure that you're in the best possible shape that you can be as the change takes place in your life. Change can be challenging, but it's also an opportunity for growth. By acknowledging your feelings, focusing on what you control, leaning on the support of people in your life, practicing proactive self-care, you're building the resilience to face any ups and downs that come into your life. And that's just what it is. I think that it's important for us to keep this in mind as we go forward. These are very practical things that you can implement today. You don't have to spend a ton of money on them. You just have to be dedicated to make sure that you're withstanding any of the ups and downs that come into your life. Change is going to happen. Be prepared. And that's pretty much going to do it for today's podcast. If you like this podcast and you want to check us out in some other spaces and places, the first place I recommend is Facebook. We have a Facebook page. All you have to do is go to the search engine, type in It's Not Your Fault Podcast. You can find information like what I just shared with you today, other old podcasts and other great resources right there on Facebook. It's Not Your Fault Podcast. The second place you can find is myself at my personal website, www.jegna, that's jegna.org. We can find some of the resources I have, as well as ask me any questions. Go right there to jegna.org. And then if you like myself, you probably like some other folks on this podcast network. This podcast network is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Again, that is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. You can find myself and a plethora of amazing podcasters doing amazing work right there, and you can get some great quality information. So that's going to do it, folks, for today's podcast. We will see you again in another podcast soon. And in the meantime, stay active, take care of yourself, be well, be constructive, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.
To check out previous episodes of It's Not Your Fault, or to learn more about Brandon Jones, log on to ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.